You gotta get so many credit hours for the
Right.
period.
Going into, yeah, 36 hours a year. We are now recording and we're live on Facebook. So welcome everybody to the September 24th Village Board meeting for the Village of Woodbury. We're going to get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. And if I could indulge everybody for a moment of silence for the 2 volunteer EMTs that lost their lives in a collision on the thruway earlier this week. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Okay, we have a relatively short agenda tonight. We do have an attorney-client session when we're done. So we'll jump right into public comment. I will start at the top of my list. We don't have a whole lot of people. So why don't we start with Mr. Cordisco, if you have anything.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I did submit a letter. I have nothing to add to that letter. Thank you.
And we did receive, acknowledge, and review your letter. Thank you. Mr. Higgins.
Under old business,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to bring something up.
Okay.
Old business.
Matt, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. You can only comment on agenda items at this section of the meeting. You can have regular public comment at the end of the meeting. So if you have something on the agenda, you can ask that about now.
I would like to ask you about Sterling Bank. Under the agenda item, there was a $23,000 Sterling Bank. I don't know what that's for. Or Thruway Sporting Goods for $498 under the money spent.
You mean in the abstract?
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about.
Okay, can I ask one of the trustees that signed the vouchers to comment, if you recall, or perhaps Desiree?
I don't have the vouchers with me at home.
Yeah.
It just caught my eye.
Sporting Goods, I believe.
Oh, we can take a look.
Which one are we talking about? The Sterling Bank one or the?
Sterling Bank.
Bank, I don't remember the bank off the top of my head. The Sporting Goods, I believe, are Carhartts. I looked it up.
Yeah.
For a section of the guys in one of the departments were buying Carhartts. their
For
winter
what?
gear. Carhartt, winter gear, starting to get ready for the winter.
I see.
Hang on, I'm pulling up the. I have the abstract with me. I don't have all the vouchers.
I don't have the voucher with me either.
Well, yeah, we're all at home, so let's see. You said there's one for Sterling National Bank on here?
Sterling Bank. It was
Sterling National.
23,000.
200676.
I don't remember what that's for.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Jesus? Oh,
It's 20
oh,
06.
that's the Valley Forge ban payment that's due.
Band?
Bond.
Ban, B-A-N,
yeah,
bond
a ban.
anticipation notice.
Yeah.
Bond anticipation notice, ban.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anything
The other
else,
thing
Matt?
was on the small cell. The small cell, would you call small cell or, you know, for the 5G? I guess this is part of the 5G. Having a small cell, you know, you're passing a law for these towers, these cell towers.
Architectural guidelines?
I'm looking at 8 foot off the ground for the small cell. And I wanted to see how you came up with that number. People are nervous. People are nervous over 5G. And the small cell says 8 feet off the ground.
So
or underground.
the only thing we're talking about tonight, Matt, with regard to cell towers are the architectural guidelines with regard to 310-38. We already passed the law about wireless telecommunications. So
8 feet off the ground is what it's going to be then.
Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that what the state law was based on the wireless consultant we hired?
Sorry, I was just
Okay.
pulling up the architectural guidelines to see if it was included in there, if that's what he's referencing.
I don't think it is.
I do see on page 9 of that the village guidelines for small cells limit them to 50 feet. The equipment is above 8 feet off the ground or below ground. So what that is it's not when you drive by the telephone pole and you usually see something on top of the pole. Well, there's a little box midway down the pole for the equipment for that. That's what's going to be above 8 feet or below ground. That's what that
It
says in
doesn't
the
say, it
architecture.
doesn't say above 8 feet off the ground. It says 8 feet.
I'm
or
reading
underground.
page 9. I'm not sure what you're reading from.
I'm reading from what you posted for this meeting.
What page number?
I don't know what page. It's underneath the cell towers in small cell. Under small cell. And it's in red.
That's what Kelly just read.
That's
She's
just,
talking about the control equipment, not the antenna, Matt. That's what's 8 feet.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so what's the question?
It doesn't say, it just says 8 feet off the ground. Is that a law now?
I'm not sure if it's a federal law for the height, but that is based on a recommendation from the village's wireless telecommunications consultant.
I think you should leave that open. And people would want it higher than that, is what I'm thinking.
Okay, well,
Well, I
you
think
can
it
ask-
says that it's higher. I'm just pulling up exactly what was posted. It's the 5th bullet down. It says equipment above 8 feet off of the ground or below ground.
8 feet off the ground.
Above 8 feet off the ground.
That's not how I read it. Okay.
Mhm. So it would be higher than that. The goal is so that people can't just walk up and mess with it when it's on the pole.
That's not how it read to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
okay, anything else, Matt?
Nope, that's it.
All right, great, thank you. Let's see, Maria.
No comment right now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Labate, did I say that right?
You did, thank you. No comment.
Okay, and Robin. Robin, anything?
No, thank you, Tim.
Okay. All right, I think that's everybody. If I missed, Neil, I'm sorry, did I hear your voice?
I don't have anything either.
Okay, thanks, Neil. If I missed anybody, please speak up now. I think I got everybody on the list, though. Okay, we'll move on with administrative business. So I need a motion and a second to accept receipt of the minutes of the meeting held September 10th, 2020. Trustee Giacomazzo with the motion, trustee Gomez with the second. Any discussion? All in favor? And I vote aye. It's ending now. Need a motion and a second to approve abstract 8 containing vouchers 200577 through 200680, totaling $212,696.04.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Burek with the motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Graziano with the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Okay, moving on to old business. We need to approve architectural guidelines that we were just discussing prior to. Administrative business. Whoever that is, can you mute?
Motion.
Trustee Burek with the motion. I'll second it.
Somebody with Facebook.
I think it's CJ.
Okay. All right, approval of architectural guidelines. I need a motion and a second to approve the architectural guidelines as a supplement to the Village Code, Chapter 310-38, wireless telecommunications facility siting as on file in the building department. Trustee Giacomazzo with the motion.
I'll second it.
Trustee Graziano with the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Okay, now we move on to the resolution of the settlement of the town versus village litigation. I'll be looking for a motion and a second to authorize me, the mayor, to sign the stipulation of settlement and discontinuance with respect to the Town of Woodbury and the Town of Woodbury Town Board plaintiffs against the Village of Woodbury Board of Trustees, and Orange County defendants proceedings. Orange County Index Number EF 006036-2018.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Burek with the motion. Trustee Giacomazzo with the second. Discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, who would like to go first?
Well, you did.
Oh, Jesus wants to go first.
Yeah, I have to write something down because I was a little upset. So I want to get everything I want to say clearly first, and then we can discuss it if you want to. Tim, as per your discussion with Frank on the town litigation, you two had come to an agreement with the changes as the Board of Trustees has presented, and they are the change in the amount of the bond payment, and that a parcel of land in front of the highway department will be deeded to the town. Frank stated that the town wanted the land so it could be built, so they can build a parking lot for the senior center, which we, the board, had agreed to, with the stipulation that we would put in writing into the contract that that parcel of land would be used to build a parking lot from the town to the senior center. At the end of your discussion with Frank, he stated to you that he understood and felt he would not have a problem getting his board to agree as well. Well, when you presented this scenario to us, the board, I felt relieved that I could finally put this lawsuit behind us and we could all move forward as one Woodbury. However, on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, the board received a new proposal from our village attorneys, and the stipulation about the parking lot was removed because Frank and the town board did not want any restrictions on what they could use the land for. The reason we wanted what Frank requested in writing is because we do not want to get sued again for the same parcel of land that started this whole litigation in the first place. Frank, if you want to build a parking lot for the senior centers, then I am good with that. Otherwise, I will be voting no to this proposal. Let us put it in writing so that we can end this lawsuit now and have no more lawsuits in the future, especially when it comes to this parcel of land. This is part of the land that we are in dispute for, and I want it all in writing. That way there is no future, oh, this was filled out wrong, that was not signed. I want this over with and done. But I'm also not going to give away any land for whoever, whatever use. If he wanted that, he should stick to what he stated to you so that we can finally put this to rest. That's all I have to say for now.
Okay, two quick things on that. One, I don't think Tuesday was the first time we as a board saw the latest draft that we're voting on this evening. I think
that's
it was
when I
last
got
week,
it.
and maybe when you got it, but
Yep.
I could ask Kelly to clarify that. But I think the more important thing here is that it's my understanding that the language in the stipulation, and I'm looking at you, Kelly, that the language in the stipulation is that forever from this point forward, we can't revisit this either side with regard to suing each other over this. Is that not correct?
That's correct. Obviously, unless something else happens that is not part of this litigation. But that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
This should end this whole issue. We'll follow up with the proper documentation, dot the i's, cross the t's, and end it.
Okay. Jesus, did you have anything else before we move on to other board members? Okay. Who wants to go next?
All right, I'll go next. What we're looking at tonight is a settlement of a 2-year-old lawsuit that, you know, even before I was even a board member, when I was a regular citizen, I was completely aghast at to start with. 2 years ago, what we're doing tonight could have been done 2 years ago. It's that simple. If it wasn't for ego, if it wasn't for being used as a political football, what we're attempting to do tonight could have been done $250,000 of wasted taxpayer money ago. That's something that's really upsetting to myself as well. And, you know, I drew an analogy in my head because I wouldn't know which way I was going to go on this either. You know, and if you guys are a Charlie Brown fan, think of when, you know, Lucy and Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. This is the third time we're going down the path every time they put the political football down, we go to kick it, end the thing, they pick it up and move it, and we wind up on our rear end again. So I'm looking at myself and talking and saying to myself the other day, I really like my chances in court. I think we have nothing to worry about. So on one hand, I would say, let the court and the jury take the football away and let's move on. The other hand, I'm saying, maybe it's time to have the faith that the football will be left down and we'll get to kick it through the uprights this time. So I've been going back and forth, for a few days now, thinking of which way to go on this. And in the end, the taxpayers of Woodbury, once again, paid for a ridiculous lawsuit that didn't need to happen, that the settlement we're reaching tonight could have been done 2 years ago. And it's a shame that it took a new board, as we've been put together, to get something done that should have been done 2 years ago, because the other boards were either fighting each other or used it for a political advantage for running for office after the original settlement was tried to be reached. It's just ridiculous. So I'm not saying I'm not gonna, when we ran for office, Tara and I, we promised one of the first things we were trying to do, Tim, you were with us, is end this ridiculous litigation. So that's one of the things I want to follow through on to the residents of Woodbury to do. But again, I just wonder, why couldn't this have been done instead of the lawsuit being promulgated in the first place? It's just beyond reason in my head. So that's all I got to say for tonight.
Thanks, Chris. Tara, you have anything?
Yeah, I read an article today in the Times Herald Record where you, Tim, and Frank were quoted. I was going to go a different way with commenting, but when Supervisor Palermo said that the potential outcome was worth the legal expenses the two sides paid, I have a lot of objections there. I could think of at least a dozen other things that we could have spent this money on to better the quality of life of our residents. And here we are 2.5 years later with, in my opinion, the taxpayers have gained absolutely nothing. We've lost $250,000, and forget about the money. How about the morale and the faith that we have in one another? And I look at us today, and we are a community at odds because of political agendas. And that has overshadowed the reason we as elected officials got into this in the first place, and that's for the good of the people that we were elected by. However, I do believe that the vast majority of our residents just want this behind us at this point. And they want us focusing, the two separate boards focusing on things that will better them and that will impact them and their quality of life, not suing one another and wasting their money. They want us to focus on making their life better in Woodbury, and they want us all to move forward because at the end of the day, quite frankly, the taxpayers have suffered enough. So I would just caution in the future, pick up the phone. We are all accessible. This did not have to come to this point, divide a community the way it did. And, people who tout their communication skills and paving the path and building bridges, that is not what I have seen over the last 2 years. And I am sorely disappointed. And I'm happy that today we can potentially put this behind us. So thank you.
Thanks, Tara. Andrew?
Well, I'm going to save my comments, or most of my comments, for board comments later. I will be voting in favor of ending this litigation. Jesus and I began on this sort of course as village trustees, partly because of this lawsuit. In my opinion, it was done for all the wrong reasons. The land swap was done for the right reasons. What we ended up with was a lawsuit and a complete and utter embarrassment of Woodbury throughout the Hudson Valley. For those that don't know, I'm very heavily involved with the Knights of Columbus. I'm actually the president of the Hudson Valley. And I have several of my members that are politicians in other municipalities. And they talk about Woodbury and how they don't want to become Woodbury. Towns and villages. I've gotten this from somebody across the river. I've gotten this from somebody in Ulster County. It is an absolute embarrassment that this is the route that they went down to sue the taxpayers of Woodbury. What makes it worse for me is that how they've been trying to defend their actions, where they're saying that this litigation was not only justified, but it was validated. Okay? Not in my book. Okay, not in my book whatsoever, because you basically spent, it's amazing to me the number keeps changing, because the foiled number that we got last week and the number that was printed in the paper are far different. Okay, so why can't we get a straight answer on what was spent? Because we know what we spent.
Yeah.
It was a complete waste of taxpayer money, and all it did was divide this community. And I am more than happy to see this go by the wayside. We have been working on it for 2 years now. Myself, Jesus, and Tim. And Jesus and I inherited this. This was not something that was anything that we started, nothing else. When people say to me, the town and village are suing each other, no, that's not what's going on here. The village of Woodbury is defending its taxpayers. So I am very happy to see this over with. And I'll leave the rest of the comments for board comments, but for now, I am just happy to have this behind us. So.
Thank you, Andrew. So the vast majority of my comments will also be during board member comment. But I just have a question. Tara, was that in today's paper? Because I didn't see
Yeah, it was online.
Oh, it was online? Okay, I haven't seen that yet. And to Andrew's point, yes, we know exactly to the penny what we spent. And I can only imagine the differences in the numbers with regard to what the town spent. But
Well, we were within less than $800 of our number, and the town board, as of May 22nd, is less than 50,000, more than 50,000 away. So I think that.
What do you mean? What's reported?
What's reported in the paper is 130. Our foiled numbers as of May 22nd, and that's months ago, was $180,997. So we are at over $250,000 for something that could have been resolved with a phone call. Nothing here in this agreement is earth-shattering that had to take meeting of the minds. It's just very frustrating. But I hope that tonight we're able to move forward. That's all.
Okay, thank you. So any other final comments before we vote? Okay, so we've had a motion. I believe it was Trustee Burek with the motion and Trustee Graziano with the second, or Trustee Giacomazzo with the second. We've had discussion. Desiree, can we have a roll call, please? And an aye vote or a yes vote would be to proceed and settle this. A no vote would be to not proceed and settle this, just for clarification. Kelly, you want to say anything before we vote?
No.
Okay, just making sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed here. All right, Desiree, roll call, please.
Mayor Egan,
Aye.
Trustee Berg,
Aye.
Trustee Giacomazzo,
Aye.
Trustee Gomez,
You're muted, Jesus. I don't know if you said anything.
No.
no, you didn't say anything, or no, you're voting no?
No, I'm voting no.
Thank you. Trustee Graziano,
Yes.
thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Moving on to new business. Closing of escrow for HM Center Group. This item was removed from the agenda as it was already done in August last month. Excuse me, so we don't need to act on that tonight. Advertise for bids, new water sewer vehicle. I need a motion and a second to authorize the village clerk to advertise for bids for the purchase, to advertise for bids for the purchase of a new truck for the water and sewer department.
Make the motion.
Trustee Burek with the motion. Did I see Trustee? Okay, Trustee Graziano with the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hold on. Okay. Return of building permit fee for the Woodbury Lions Club. Need a motion and a second to authorize the return of the $98 building permit fee, which was on permit number 20-4303, that was issued to the Woodbury Lions Club for a shed they purchased and had installed at the Highland Mills Methodist Church during the summer.
For the food pantry.
For the food pantry.
It doesn't say that there, but thank you for clarifying that, Chris, for the food pantry.
I'll make that motion.
I saw Jesus's lips move, but I heard Andrew's voice. That was Trustee Giacomazzo with the motion, right? And I'll take Trustee Gomez with the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Okay, that concludes the regular business, so we'll go right out to public comment. Let's start with Dominic again. Or did you have the comment from before? You just wanted to let us know you submitted that letter.
That's correct. Thank you.
Thanks, Dom. Maria Hunter.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. Earlier today, I posted on Families of Woodbury from the Orange County Planning Department, which I also forwarded to Mayor Egan, which he said he forwarded to the board members. I thought this was a very important meeting that is being held on October 1st from 7 to 8:30 p.m. in regards to preserving open space and farmlands. I would hope that each board member who is chairing the comprehensive plan and the land preservation committee forward this information on to each of their board members, because I think it's a very important issue that we need to look at. And I think this will be helpful in moving forward with both of our committees that you've recently appointed. And that's the only thing I have to say at this time. So thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Maria. Mr. Higgins?
So, Tim, I wanted to ask you, or the board, if there's been agreement between the railroad and Speyside, if it's been verified or not.
Okay, I was just pausing to make sure you didn't have anything more to your question. Nothing new with that with regard to either negotiation with the DEC Speyside or anything from legal, correct, Kelly? Okay, so we don't have anything new on that just yet, Matt.
So you don't have an agreement between the railroad and Speyside for the access road?
Oh, not that I'm aware of, but that might be a private matter between the two that maybe the village is not aware of.
Correct. Or
Between the two, okay.
between Speyside and the DEC.
Yeah.
Or the, excuse me, the railroad.
I wanted to also ask if anyone else on the board, aside from Tim, if they've raised a concern with the DEC over the application.
Well, before anybody speaks up on that, I had discussed this with our board and raised the issue on behalf of the board, so.
I'm asking if anybody else wrote. I guess not. Okay.
Sure.
I just wanted to check to see if there was something that I could see from them, but I guess there isn't anything, so. Anyway, there's no federal edict for flags, okay? I'm bringing this back up because our flags are still at half-mast, and it's disturbing me, and as well as I'm sure many other residents. And, you know, I could have people come over from somewhere else, they don't understand. And there is no federal edict for flags. And the last time I brought this up, I was told something about the federal whatever.
No, it wasn't federal, Matt, and there's an executive order from the governor that is in effect.
Okay, April 8th.
Still
It was a directive. I'm going to tell you what it was. It was a directive for flags to be at half-mast at state facilities until the pause ended. Okay, we're in stage 4 right now. No one knows when he will lift this so-called pause. So the village should not have flags at half-mast. This has gone on way too long. It's going on 6 months. As you, our reps, need to understand, governor's edicts are not settled law. You need to do the right thing for Woodbury, raise the flag. Village is not a state facility, nor should they abide. You're supposed to represent us, and I say raise the flag. And good night.
Thanks, Matt. Mr. Labate.
I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. and/or Mrs. Kraus.
No, Tim, I'm fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Neil?
Yes, I have two.
Okay.
One is on your settlement of the lawsuit. I know I should have spoke earlier, but I didn't want, because I didn't know it was going, is I want to thank the board for finally settling this. It all started when a process server appeared at Village Hall and served the village board with that lawsuit, with no discussion or anything, even though the village board had approved it unanimously, and a supermajority vote of the town board had approved the transfer. The next thing we found out was when a process server arrived at Village Hall with the lawsuit from the town. I want to thank the village for finally putting this to bed so we can move on It's cost our taxpayers $250,000. And when you look at it in the middle of Woodbury Commons, that you could buy more property in the middle of Woodbury Commons for that amount of money that this lawsuit was finally done. So, and that's all I had to say on that.
Thanks, Neil.
With the issue that with the webinar with the land preservation, I've already signed up for the webinar. Signed up for it early this morning. The other members of the Land Preservation Committee I sent the information on to them this morning. I've had 2 somewhat extensive conversations with the county about that this today as well. So I just want to let the board know that this is something that we're aware of and we are involved with.
Thank you, Neil. I'm glad you signed up. Anything else?
Oh, that's it.
Okay.
Mayor Egan,
Mrs.
Maria Hunter. One other thing, what reminded me when Mr. Higgins was talking about the gravel down here on 32. They wet down their driveway this evening. But when you're coming southbound from their driveway to the trestle, I just had my car washed. It's all dirty again because there's all the dust and dirt on there. Can someone look into it with the building department? Maybe they need to go onto the road on 32 itself and come further south and there's stones on the road as well. So maybe the board can look into that for us residents because we're getting a lot of dust and dirt on our cars. And I'm a little upset. I spent money to have a clean car and it's dirty again. So thank you.
Kelly, you look like you were about to say something. Was I incorrect? Okay, I was incorrect. All right, Maria. Well, I'll talk to Gary in the morning. We can certainly look into that. I can tell you that was definitely one of the issues that we brought up with Speyside or excuse me, with the DEC about Speyside when we had that call a while ago. Okay, last call. Did I miss anybody besides board members and department heads? Okay, we'll do board member comment, then we'll do department heads, and then we'll adjourn. So I'll speak for myself, and I know that everybody else had the same agenda, especially my running mates in the fall, Chris and Tara. We felt very strongly about this, but since November of last year, one of my main personal goals in my first term as mayor was to find a way in which to end the town versus village lawsuit. To that end, in January of this year, I had several meetings with the town supervisor to negotiate a settlement. After 3 meetings, the supervisor and I were able to come to an agreement that we were both comfortable with. We brought the terms we agreed to back to our respective boards for discussion and further negotiation. Tonight, I'm happy to say, as you all saw, that our board voted on those terms to settle this lawsuit, and I fully expect the town to ratify this next week. This will end a several-year conflict between the town and the village, and in the interests of moving Woodbury forward, we can all anticipate working together in the best interests of all Woodbury residents. It's time for Woodbury to heal. I want to thank my fellow board members for their support during this entire process and for their discussions and for their opinions and for having active, honest discussions about all of this and getting to the point that we are tonight. So we're at a conclusion now, and we can avoid further taxpayer expense that was discussed a couple times tonight. So thank you to my fellow board members. Let's move on to the rest of the board. Let's start with Trustee Graziano.
I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight and taking interest in what's going on. I think I said as much as I'm going to say about the lawsuit tonight as that I said earlier. So I'm just going to keep it at that and keep it short tonight and just move on from there. I'm just, whatever. It is what it is.
Thanks, Chris. Trustee Gomez.
I think I spoke enough. So I just want to say good luck to all the kids who started their first day of actual school today. I wish them all a safe and healthy school year. I know it's going to take some time before it feels normal, but take a deep breath and try to remember this too shall pass. And one day, hopefully soon, we can get back to normal, the real normal, not this new normal. Please be kind and patient with each other. Remember to follow all the rules. They are there to help keep you and everyone in school safe and healthy. Good luck, guys. You got this. And all have a good night.
This is Trustee Burek.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you everybody for attending. 1 week ago tomorrow, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the 107th Justice of the United States Supreme Court, lost her battle to cancer. As tragic as this loss is, what an unbelievably incredible life she lived. Being the second woman ever to serve on the Supreme Court, she did so in spite of a tremendously long list of challenges and adversities. What is so impressive to me is that she not only fought back when times were tough, but that she excelled most when times were tough. The tenacity of this iconic woman, I believe, still goes unmatched. We women may strive to attain her level of excellence, however, few will ever compare. I think it goes without saying that her life's lessons and battles won have paved the way for the rest of us women to follow. Like myself and Robin Krause, she was born and raised in Brooklyn. All three of us attended James Madison High School. She graduated 50 years before I did. But in 1994, right before I entered high school, the school dedicated its 4th floor to honor her ascension to the Supreme Court, and they made it a courtroom, an actual courtroom with a jury box and a bench, and it was remarkable. And we had a mock trial team and a law academy, and we used it to learn and to practice in courtroom style. And we'd often have judges and lawyers volunteer their time to come in and teach us. And in that courtroom was a wall-to-ceiling portrait of Justice Ginsburg, which was a daily reminder of her greatness. Each time I entered that room for class, I was in awe and inspired. She was just a girl from Brooklyn who had a profound impact on this world, something many of us aspire towards. There are so many concrete features of a woman's daily life that are now different because of her. To name a few, it is the right to hold a specific job that we want to hold, whether it be a doctor or a lawyer. It is the right to attend college. It is the right to participate in sports. It's every single thing that came after the idea that it was inappropriate to make distinctions based on sex alone. It's not just one thing that's different, though. Everything is different for women. No matter which side of the political aisle you sit, Justice Ginsburg was widely respected and revered. Her legacy is expansive. I may not agree with all of her political stances, but I fiercely respect that she always stood behind her beliefs and fought for the equality she knew would make this world more whole. In Justice Ginsburg's own words, I think that men and women, shoulder to shoulder, will work together to make this a better world. Just as I don't think men are the superior sex, neither do I think women are. I think that it is great that we are beginning to use the talents of all of the people in all walks of life, and that we no longer have the closed doors we once had. May she rest in peace, and may her legacy live on through all of us who have absorbed her words. Thank you all very much, and good night.
Hey, thank you, Tara. Trustee Giacomazzo.
All right. Top of our palm card from when we first ran says, end unnecessary town-initiated lawsuit and waste of taxpayers' money. Jesus and I began the process of attempting to settle this lawsuit early last year. We scheduled a meeting between Councilmen Essick, Arone, and Hunter at a better place for a few libations and laughs. Our goal, and I think the goal of the councilman at the time, was to get the two boards together publicly to hopefully hammer out an agreement. We held several meetings, both I believe that are still on YouTube. Things were going great until the supervisor decided no more. Maybe it was all the questions about money, the amount of money that was spent, and deafening silence that followed. There is nothing to be proud of with this settlement. We are truly an embarrassment to the entire Hudson Valley and maybe New York State. Over $250,000 of taxpayer money was spent in the town board's attempt to extract money from the other pocket. Last year, Mayor Mike Queenan sat down with Supervisor Palamo and his lawyer. What followed, I feel, and we've talked about it in other meetings, was even more disturbing. Frank had said, Mike, what are we fighting about? We know where this is going. And it led to Frank asking for $1 million from the village of Woodbury to settle this lawsuit. Now, that money is not coming out of my pockets. Well, it is. It comes out of all our pockets. But to this day, that's what this lawsuit was really about. Frank's contention at the time was the land we gave up, the res, the ball fields, the pavilion, the dog park, the animal shelter land, was all worthless compared to the land that the highway department sits on. The highway department is ours also, all the taxpayers. If that sounds inane, it is. Almost 3 years later, we are finally at the finish line, and one of my concerns is, who's taking credit for the completion of this nonsense? For the town board to take any credit for this is the equivalent to setting fire to a bunch of garbage, throwing water on it, and then throwing yourself a parade afterwards. Look at the SRO situation at the Monroe Woodbury High Schools. They canceled, not notifying anyone, then threw themselves a party by renegotiating a contract and placing it all over Facebook. Look what we did. Once again, another example of the town board's inability to properly use a phone, just like this lawsuit. To be honest, this lawsuit has not been the anchor around our necks that I thought it would be. I am proud of the work the trustees, this board has accomplished during this pandemic, from passing the most comprehensive Water Protection Act in Orange County to the completion of LED lighting throughout the village, to hiring a new code enforcement officer, and even to all the code changes we have passed. And I could go on. If I sound angry, I am a bit. Will I be accused of not wanting or willing to work together? I scoff at that. I have to ask, how is running against the deputy mayor and his fellow trustee by the Woodbury deputy supervisor working together? That is not working together. That is a takeover. Once again, we are the laughing stock of Orange County because the other municipalities see what's going on here. But I will forget all that because we have been hired by our residents to get things accomplished, to work in the best interest of Woodbury. So Jesus and I will roll up our sleeves and assist the Woodbury Ambulance Corps with their annual blood drive here at Village Hall tomorrow, because this is how you work together. Sunday, we'll join a group of dedicated residents to revitalize and create interest in all things Woodbury. People whose voices have been ignored for far, far too long, because this is how you work together. Next Saturday, we will join our counterparts in Monroe for a Back the Blue rally, because this is how you work together. We will work with our fellow trustees to pass a few more code changes and updates before the end of the year, because that is how you work together. Because at the end of the day, we are all in this together. Now,
Saturday, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I got you, buddy. I got you. Okay, so to those I may have wronged, I ask forgiveness. To those I may have helped, I wish I had done more. To those I've neglected to help, I ask for understanding. And to those who helped me, I thank you with all my heart. To all those of the Jewish faith, wishing you peace and goodness and an easy fast. To you and your family, this Yom Kippur, which begins Sunday. Thank you and good night.
Just a quick correction, Andrew, the blood drive's Saturday, not tomorrow, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. That's what Jesus just said.
Oh, is it? Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that. All right, very good. So that concludes board member comments. We have department heads. We have Rob Wyatt on Zoom, and we also have Mickey Phillips here in the office. So we'll go with Rob first.
I don't have anything, Mayor.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Mickey? Oh, you don't? I thought you did. Okay. Mickey does not have anything. Desiree?
Yeah, I just want to let the public and the current board know that we have a former employee that passed away earlier this week, Catherine, we called her Kathy Carberry. She served as the accounting billing clerk in the water sewer department from 1987 to 2001. And she was a hard worker for what was then just the town of Woodbury. And she passed away this week, so condolences to her family.
Okay, thanks, Des. I think that's it. So with no further comments received or business to discuss, can I have a motion and a second to adjourn so we can go into attorney-client session? Trustee Giacomazzo with the motion.
I'll second.
Trustee Burek with the second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But thank you, everybody, and good night to the public, and everyone else will join us on the. No further comments to speak or business to discuss. Can I have a motion in a second to adjourn? So we can adjourn.